Kirsten from JK Fiber Arts. Today we are on the second part of the processing of my Irish alpaca Lou. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but Lou actually is short for luscious because of his luscious fiber. So it's spelled L-U. And we are going to comb some of his lusciousness here today. Well, what I have is my Hackle, and I have one of my hand combs out, and I will show you how to do that. I'd like to comb from my Hackle because I can put more fiber on it. That's all. So let's get started. I'll bring you around to my other side so you can see what I'm doing. So what I have here is my Hackle, and you've seen me use this a bunch of times. So this is from Woolen Woodwork, and I have over here my what's left of my 1 1/3 pounds. I've done maybe about 4.5 ounces I've combed already, and I will show you how to do this. And then I have also I have a little spray bottle here. When you comb, static electricity can be a big problem. Typically, it's really humid here. However, even though it's raining outside today, it's the first kind of fall day, and it's a little bit cold, and we've had our windows open, and I have a little bit of static electricity that's been collecting. So there's something called combing milk, and you can find recipes for it. Gosh, I'm trying to remember. There was something, and I think it was Spin-Off magazine. I want to say 7 years ago, maybe. And there was like a recipe, and I think it had in it like water and alcohol and some oil, like a light amount of like any oil, like olive oil or vegetable oil, and something else. I don't remember what the other thing was. But anyways, I've read about this. A lot of people, you spend all this time trying to get the oil out when you scour your fleece, and why do you want to put oil back in, etc., etc. A lot of times what you'll do is just something that you can, when you set the yarn, you can wash it out. But I just use water, and water is absolutely acceptable. And I just use water to get a little of the static electricity out, very light mist, and it works well for me, and that's what I am sticking with. So what I'm going to start with is I'm just going to take a couple of handfuls of my scoured alpaca here. I'm just going to set this off to the side. This is just the top here so you don't get impaled when you're doing other activities around it. And I'm just going to take some of this fiber, and I'm going to start putting it on the Hackle. I try to keep, if you notice, I have it on backwards. Typically when you're going to do like a blend, a comb top blend, I'm going to have it flipped 180. So the curve, the convex portion is facing out. That allows the comb to get closer to it, the wool comb, my single hand comb. So what I'm going to do, and for this particular one, I'm not loading this up, tips of the fiber, the locks. I didn't scour the locks in place or anything like that. So it doesn't really matter what direction I'm putting them on here. This will be, in theory, not a true worsted prep, but it's worsted enough for our purposes, especially if we spin it worsted. So different ways you can put your fiber on. One is the what they call the lasher, where they just kind of go like this and they fling their hand down. Seems particularly dangerous to me. Sometimes once I get going and I get a little overconfident, I might do a little lashing, but usually I'm more of a lay it on there kind of person. Or if I'm lashing, I'm doing it very gently. I've had some wicked stabs from this thing. This fiber is so wonderful. And all I'm doing here is just loading up my Hackle, and I'm just going to keep going through this, loading it up. And I'm trying to not put too much waste out the back. When you comb, you are always going to have a lot of waste, depending on what you're doing and how well your fiber is skirted and prepped and scoured. 40% maybe. It's high. It's up there sometimes. Fortunately, what I'm doing with mine, this was so beautiful that I can actually use the waste And I have this bag over here, and this is the waste I've collected so far. And I am going to drum card that and use that in woolen prep stuff. And it's going to be wonderful. The other upside to combing using the Hackle or your hand combs is that the dirt's all going to fall out. All the vegetable matter will just fall out. And I love that. If I put it in the drum carder, it doesn't fall out if I don't catch it when I'm putting it in. Usually I'll just pick it out by hand or shake it. But here, it'll just fall out. The drum carder will pulverize it, and then it will be permanently embedded into your fiber. And you won't be able to get that out when you spin it or when you wash it. It's just going to be in there. It also makes your drum carder very dirty and can affect the moving parts. So I'm going to just continue to load this up until I feel like it's a goodish amount for me. On average, I'm getting between 14 and 17 grams finished, combed off. I think I've combed about 4.5 ounces or something so far. That's after waste. I think we are ready to comb this now. I'm just kind of giving just a little bit of a tug here. There's not really a lot of static. I'll do a little spray just so you can see, but today it's a much less staticky day than yesterday. I think it's because it's raining out. But I just do a little like that, little squirt, little mist. Sometimes I'll take it and just kind of do this with my hands just to kind of get it through there a little bit and get the static down, and it looks lovely. And the way I start is I'm trying to get the least amount on the back of here. I'm trying to get less waste, really, is what I'm trying to do. So I don't start right up at the Hackle and pull. I'm just going for some of this nice stuff here on the ends. And what I do is typically I'm coming from the side here like this, and then I'm coming straight down, and from the sides. I like the sides quite a bit, but I come back to the down because I don't want it to come off the top of my pins. That's what this is also for. You can put this on the top, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, so I'm not using it. And so we're going perpendicular to the pins for the most part. Like I said, I will sometimes go straight. I got some wild one here. Just gonna put that back on there. And all I'm doing is just combing the ends here. And I'll show it to you in real time, since a lot of times I skip over this part and I'm like, yeah, just finish it like this, and I put it on fast forward, and then a lot of people are like, no, I would like to see the whole thing. So we will do the whole thing. And the other thing that you'll see, like right here, I saw a little nep roll by right there. Now I'm gonna make another pass, and that'll probably come off in the other pass, but I usually will just pull that out. I keep my trash over here to the left. This is my trash. If you can see that one there, somehow I had missed a guard hair, and I saw it and I just pulled it out. And all I do is keep doing this. And you can see I am starting to get a bit of static on here. I'm just going to give this a little squirt and smooth it down just so it stays on my comb, and I can just get some more on there. Again, all my stuff is geared towards trying to reduce waste. Although, since I know that this is really good stuff, and I've had very little stuff that off the back that is not usable, I'm not really killing myself, because I'll just put it in the bag and I can use it for my drum carder, and for blending and stuff, it'll be great. Just make sure this doesn't slide off the top of the tines. If it does, that's problematic. I also usually only use one hand. I try to keep my other hand out of the way so there's no stabbing events. Although, like I said, I've stabbed myself more times than I care to recall. I just keep alternating back and forth along the tines here, going perpendicular. You just want to make sure that if you're doing this, you want to make sure it's completely dry. You don't want to like soak it. It's just like a very light mist. And you want it to be completely dry before you store it. So I usually just leave it sitting out on my table for a day or so, just to make sure there's no residual anything. The other thing that I will sometimes do, and I just give this a little light pull, and just whatever wants to come, I'll let it come on through. I'm not pulling really hard here, just see what'll come. And then I can get maybe that little extra bit off. And I don't really think I'm going to get much more than that. If I hold this out of the way, I could try to do this. Maybe a touch more. But I think I'm going to call that good. So now I have my, what I like to call a troll doll on a stick here. Look at how awesome that is though, it's so floofy. All right, so I'm gonna just set this down for a second and we're gonna pull this off so you can see the waist. So this is how much waist I have, which is significant. And again, I didn't try to really hit it to the fence here to save it. What I'm gonna do is I just kind of open I don't hardly see anything in here that looks terrible. If I see like a lot of shortcuts and neps and stuff, I'll just throw those out. But again, there's not a lot of that in here. And this is my first pass, so usually the first pass has most of the junk in it. So, and then I just shake it, and the rest of this I am putting in my save bag because that's not neppy. I can card that. Now, we are ready to do the second part. So next thing I'm going to do is, see, just stuck myself. Is I'm going to, using your hand comb, we're going to transfer it back onto the hackle, and we're going to go perpendicular. So the tines are sticking this way. You are going to lash onto the tines, but the teeth on the comb are going to be perpendicular. You can't do it this way, or else all of your fiber is going to pull off your comb. So, and I, again, do the same way I do when I'm loading the hackle initially, is I'm just catching the end here because I'm trying to have as little as possible on the back side here of the hackle so that there's just less waste. So when I diz this off, it'll work well. And I rotate back and forth. So I'm gonna go a few strokes this way, and then I'll just rotate, flip it over, make sure it stays on the hand comb. And I just keep doing this. It's actually very satisfying. And if I see anything like there's a little nep, I'll just pull that out as I go along if I see something. But this, again, this is a really, really nice fiber. Now you can see I'm getting a lot of static happening here now, so I'm going to do a little squirt. I'm going to do a little squirt there, a little squirt here. And this should help with that. And that should also make it easier to comb it on, because I won't be fighting the frizz. The other thing that I do too is when I'm bringing it down, sometimes I'm not going straight down. I'll bring it a little bit across the tine. See how I'm at a very slight angle there? I'm not exactly perpendicular, I'm a little bit of an angle. One, it helps keep it stay on the teeth, and two, I think it gives me a little better control. And this should be my final pass with this. I usually only do the 2 passes for combing fiber that I've prepped. And of course, when I do this next, I'll just put it on here once. When I blend it with the merino, which we will do, probably the next video, I'll show you how to blend it. And then we'll get you going. We're almost done here. You can hear I'm really getting down to it now. I'm hitting the comb with the tines from the Hackle. Oops, see a little piece that didn't fall out. And I can just get that out of there. Sometimes I will try to do this a little bit, and usually what I'll end up doing is going close and then just pulling straight back so it doesn't pull it off my tines, but it doesn't typically yield much, so this one I'm not going to do it. I think I've almost gotten all I'm going to get. Sometimes I've been known to stand here a long time and like draft every little piece off of here to try to get everything, but I'm not going to do that for this. I think this is going to be fine because I have plenty then to a drum card. And hopefully I will be getting my new drum carder in November. I've been on the list for the Clems & Clems crankless double wide drum carder, elite drum carder since May. And they said November, and they've now very thoughtfully posted a back order list. And I have moved up to number 3 on the list, so I'm very hopeful that that November date is realistic. I've heard some horror stories of people who've been waiting like 14 months, and I'm like, what? I'm going to lose my mind if I have to wait 14 months. I don't think I've really added much to this other than just chatting, so I'm going to take this off. And you can see here, there is no dirt in this heart at all. I mean, almost nothing. Just on the safe side here, we'll just open it up, do a little shake. I think maybe I saw a little piece right there. I'll just throw that out. And you can see there are a couple of little neps in here, but I am not even going to worry about those either. And maybe I'll take this one out. All right. And I am going to put this, because you see how easy this opens up. Even the neps aren't even that neppy. Look at that. Oh, there's one little piece of vegetable matter. All right. So I'm going to put this in my trash bag. And now we are ready to diz this off. And what I do is I just give a little, just a light little kind of a tug here, get everything all right and where I want it to be. This doesn't seem too, go from way back here, it's a little tiny bit of mist. I'm going to use the second to smallest hole in my diz. The important aspect of this is making sure that your diz has the concave side facing. It's going to funnel the adjacent fiber in as we go along. Let's set that down for a second here, and I'm going to grab a piece. The other thing that I do is when I grab my piece, I'm going to make sure I get the full thickness, from top to bottom here, not like just a partial top layer, but like a chunk that's the whole way. And I just do a little bit of a draft on this, just enough to put a little twist in the end. And I put that through my threader here. And this is just my threader for my loom. And we are off to the races, and all I'm going to do is I'm just drafting lightly. This is very fine, beautiful fiber. And all I do is just pull this, I'm giving a little bit of a draft out, and while I'm doing that, I'm sliding the diz forward. So a little draft out, diz forward. Now, if you feel like you get to a point where, oh my gosh, this hole's too small, it's all stuck, which happens, you can pull this back just a little bit, and that usually will be enough to slide it forward. There we go. And the neighboring fiber should be funneling in, which it is, which I like. And I'm just going to come down to this end and then work my way back the other direction. And this fiber is really fine, so I would not be surprised if I break it. Or it doesn't necessarily break here, but by floating down onto the floor, it will break. I've had that happen a bunch, but we'll see. I'd like this to be my last pass back, so I'm gonna hang out here for a second and get all of this. And I'm just making sure that that bottom stuff funnels here. I didn't quite catch this whole bottom layer earlier. That is all I'm doing. We're almost done. I gotta show you the floor. This stuff is so soft. It's like a cloud fell on the floor. All right. And we'll come to that in a second. I'll just take this waste off here. And this waste should be beautiful because this was the second time through. It's all clean and soft and marvelous. That goes straight into the reuse bag. I'm gonna pick this up off the floor. And I'm gonna gently wind this around my hand. And again, I'm going very gently because this is extremely fine. I think we're gonna do it all just fine in one continuous loop here. And I just tuck the tip in like you see me do all the time. Look at that. That is beautiful. Oh, here's a tip. This was not in here when I was combing it, but the dirt fell onto the floor. I usually put a bowl there. So the some of the bits that I actually had combed out are in this because it fell and it landed in it on the floor. So, but here you go. Look at that. Oh, it is so soft. So this one was 16 grams, so pretty good. I will add it to my pile and keep on combing. And I will see you guys next time, and I will show you how to blend this. Until next time, spin happy.